What is democracy? What does it mean when we talk about democracy? We had earlier defined what democracy, the democratic systems of governance. So what is the meaning of democracy? Democracy is actually viewed as a system of government in which people choose their leaders and representatives and can validate their continuous stay in office or replace them in regular free and fair elections. Democracy is further understood as the interaction between the legislature, the executive, and the judicial arm of government on the one hand, and it's also the relationship and the link between the civil society and the government on the other hand. Democracy provides the avenue for both public and private institutions to conduct affairs, manage resources, and guarantee their implementation of human rights and sustainable development. So you can see when we talk about democracy, it's holistic, it's encompassing, it involves everybody, both the private structures, the public structures, civil society organizations, it's holistic. So what are democratic systems? Democratic systems are majorly in two types. We have the direct democracy and we have indirect democracy. We refer to direct democracy when we have small community labor unions, small communities, we have labor unions, we have civil society groups where members can deliberate on issues and arrive at decisions by majority vote. It means as a group, we could come together and decide who we want to lead us, and then we make decisions and all of that. But when we talk about indirect democracy, people elect representatives to make political decisions, formulate laws, and administer programs on their behalf. So there are different types of indirect democracies. We have the constitutional monarch as it is practiced in Britain, in Japan, and in Lesotho. We have the parliamentary democracy as in Israel, in Canada, and Nigeria, in the First Republic of Nigeria. Nigeria, we are under, this is the Second Republic of Nigeria. So the First Republic of Nigeria, 1960 to 1965, we practice the parliamentary democracy. Then we also have presidential democracy, as it's been practiced in Nigeria today. It's been practiced in Kenya and several other countries around the world. Then we have the totalitarian democracy, as we have in the Soviet Union, when we had the Soviet Union, as we had in the Nazi German society, as we had in China, as we have in China, as we have in North Korea under this current Kim administration. And then we have the constitutional democracy. An example of a strict constitutional democracy is the United States of America. So these are the very different types of indirect democracies that we have around the world. Now let's talk about the principles of democracy. The principles of democracy can be compared to signposts along the road. They guide people in the right direction. So they are like landmarks, signposts, turn left, turn right. Those are the principles of democracy. And they include citizens' participation. This is basic principle. And the key role of citizens in democracy, it's very basic. Citizens' participation. By active participation, citizens work as partners with those who are elected as leaders and then enable citizens to exert some control over decision-making processes, choice of policies, and the operation of political systems. Then we also have equality. It's another principle. All individuals are valued equally. Another principle is political tolerance. Although the majority of the people rule, the rights of the minority at all times must be protected and respected. Individual citizens must also learn to be tolerant of each other, irrespective of the political divide we find ourselves. We have accountability. Elected representatives are accountable to the people who elect them. As our elected leaders, they are supposed to account for their actions, their services, and their tenures, speeches and utterances, public expenditures, and all of that. It is our duty as citizens to hold our government accountable. We have transparency as a principle. People are aware of what is happening in their country in order for the government to be accountable. It is only when the government and the governance process is transparent, that is when the people can hold them accountable. We cannot hold a government accountable when we are not aware of the budgetary allocations, we are not aware of government policies and laws, we are not aware of the country action plans, state action plans that are supposed to ensure sustainable democracy and sustainable development as well. And so it's also very important to note that none of these principles can stand on its own. They all work together to form the basic principles of democracy.